The first tap of a conductor's wand. The first rivet in a mile-high tower. The master link at the genesis of a never-ending chain. The moment a single empty canvas meets a singular master stroke. There is no one thing. Because now, there are many. Because soon, there will be more. Because one is ever the beginning. Like the first link in an infinite chain, or the first rivet in the tallest skyscraper. The master stroke is found in the masterpiece. What will you begin?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 78th episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. Our hosts for today are Greg from Rivet, Lisa Mighty Davis, owner of the new Mighty Layer. We're going to have Satoshi Sean come up in a little bit, I'm pretty sure. He'll join us whenever he's booted up over there. We've got Joe, founder and architect of Dragon Chain. Special guest today, we've got John Branch. John Branch, known on Den as T Swift or Die, is a regular guest on Coffee with Den. He's a comedian, improviser, high-end home chef, meddlesome mixologist, owner of a members-only jacket. He once got into a fight with Mickey Mouse and has seen Hugh Jackman on the Broadway production of The Music Man at least 6 times. A self-proclaimed Prince of New York Yankees and Yorkies once thought about getting a Prince Albert piercing but decided not to. A professional cryptocurrency commentator, blockchain and Lego enthusiast, and will currently write anything for money. Thank you for joining us, John. Glad to have you on the show. And my name is Dave, and I'll be your master of ceremonies for today on this 78th episode. I was out last week. Actually need to go ahead and catch up with the last half of that. We had, as I understand, John Deaton was on. So I got to go catch that. That was a really great episode, I'm sure. Everything... I follow him like on Twitter and stuff, but I've never spoken to the man. So that'll be cool. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. I wasn't there, so it won't be great, but it'll be okay.
Yes. We were missing something.
Yeah. So let's go through let's go through a quick update on the layer ownership tokens. If you don't know, that's what's distributed to people who suggest topics for the weekly show. We have our topics rotate based on feedback and DAO votes. And also the questions that are asked that we talk about weekly are rewarded with LOT, which is ownership of the layer on Den. That's what lets you weigh in on the topics and the questions and stuff, right? So from last week, from that episode, we total up all the views and stuff. And that's how we determine how much LOT to give out to everyone. Each host will receive 166 LOT. Each topic contributor from last week will receive 55 LOT. Last week's theme was, hold on, what is this? Oh yeah. It was on the last week was on the time of development for quality projects. Something that
but we didn't do that.
But we didn't do that.
No, we did because of current events with FTX. It was FTX.
Yeah, FTX
and the election.
There's so much more there too, man.
Yeah, there was a lot.
That is a rat's nest of crazy.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a conspiracy theorist ought to feel like their work is justified after seeing this. This ought to be evidence that while it's not hard evidence when you have a hunch that comes from the news, it's a pretty hard wink and a nudge in the direction of the truth.
Yeah. And it's not over.
No, it's not. It's surprising that I forgot about it already. So yeah, the original theme before we called an audible was time of development cycle for quality projects. That was nominated by, I think that's pronounced Juanes Peranza was the proposer there. That denizen will receive 55 LOT. And as a reminder, these ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and governance votes. Speaking of governance votes, we've got some of those to remind you about. December's coming up. Each month, there is a post in the World Blockchain Roundtable layer that is calling for suggestions for themes of the following month. And once those are collected, a vote goes up, which is what you're seeing on screen now. And if you have any of these lot tokens, you can vote on it. They're pretty easy to get. Just chime in with a question on any show, and if it gets ranked high enough to be covered, you get some lot tokens.
I love that one.
So yeah, go check that out and vote on it so we know what to talk about next month.
I voted last night.
Oh yeah, I voted too. I won't say what I voted for, but it looks like it's relatively popular. So that'll probably make it. Yeah,
the last one
popularity.
Was really interesting. I know that insurance is a super boring topic, but I think a decentralized, autonomous, friendly society is a really interesting possibility.
Yes. All right. So let's see. The theme of the week is let's make a video game. What would WBRT's perfect video game look like? I know I love video games. I know John loves video games. I know Greg loves video games. Lisa and Joe, I don't know what your history with video games is, but I'm assuming that you love them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a fan. Yeah, I've never have been drawn in by a video game. I actually thought I have like a statement that I thought that every Halo game or Xbox should come with a divorce decree just automatically put in there. I thought that was a really good idea. I just think I don't
would
understand.
Agree with you, except I've seen marriages come together because of their shared love of video games too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, both things definitely happen.
I have not seen that, but I will tell you that I do understand that the world is moving that direction. That is not me, by the way.
Okay.
But I don't know who has construction going on.
The buzzsaw, yeah.
I'm very excited for you and your home. But I will tell you that like watching, so I'm homeschooling my son, and like we're using, MIT created a free program that teaches kids how to code. It's really cool. He loves it. He thinks he's building video games. He thinks he's doing, which he is, but he just thinks he's having fun, and it's really cool. And so that's one of our pieces of homeschooling. Then this whole metaverse thing is literally like this. These girls have had me on their show a couple times doing this Metaverse Monday, and he's like, Mom, that's Minecraft. He's like, I can do that. And so watching him get excited about it and knowing like that's the future of a lot of marketing and stuff from what I understand.
Yep.
And the way that his mind thinks is in that space, is in that video game space. Yeah. And so I'm going to get the hell out of the way,
Lisa, one of the things I think is worth noting here that I think we can all agree on, whether or not you're a video game fan, right? That having or engendering a heroic mindset where you are an actor on the world who has the capacity to push it, right? To change it, to fix it, to fight bad, and win for the good, right? Those kinds of stories are important. To the sort of mindset that a healthy society that doesn't collapse on itself raises up kids to believe. I think that was like, I mean, I was going to say play any video game once and then tell me if you still like video games. Chrono Trigger would be the one that I would suggest. But
oh yeah,
well, and I think video games are different now than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you didn't play with your friends on a video game. You just were in a room by yourself with a device. And I'm such a social being that like that is not interesting to me.
That's still my preferred way to play, is without other people.
Well, that's actually an interesting question. What was everybody here's first experience with video games?
First experience.
Maybe we should
let somebody else go
first.
Get
into it, but...
Well, this is current event. The event is that we're talking about video games.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We're talking about a past event that happened.
I did want to quickly say that with Lisa, with what you were describing, I think it's really important to, even outside of video games, and it's interesting to be able to look at something that's been built by someone else, the video game in this case, the Metaverse Monday thing you're talking about, and for anybody to be able to look at something and say, oh, I know how they made that. I could probably make that, because that's something where you're putting the pieces together in your mind, like the engineering behind something to understand, oh, you know what? I bet I know how they did that. That's really cool. That's so. Congrats on having a
Yeah,
smart brain there.
He has a great mind for all that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I want to
Elon Musk's
encourage.
first project
for
is a
him.
video game, right?
Yeah.
So he's
I
off
don't
to a
know.
good start.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Well, I'll
So
leave it. Yeah, we can talk
are we
current
going to
events,
go
or
to
we can
current
talk about
events? I'm
first
sorry,
video
I know we
games.
kind of jumped ahead. Yeah.
Let's do current events and then come back to the everybody's first. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So, what is going on in the world? I know FTX is still happening, and there's still a lot of fallout yet to come, I'm sure, from that.
I heard there's a sex tape coming out with the two of them, which
That was
God, please.
I hope that's
horrifying.
real. That would be too
I hope
funny.
not. That is
I hope
distraction
not.
is stupid.
I kind of hope it's real, personally.
Oh,
Everything is
God.
distraction. They're gonna start World War III as a distraction to this, because it goes much more political and deeper than is
This is
widely
like
known.
weird, high subterfuge, high strangeness type
Literally
of stuff,
missiles off of North Korea this morning. So
How much you want to bet there's
nailed
an
it, Joe.
analog to this that occurred around the same time as the start of World War One?
Oh,
That's Lisa. That's a good
that's usually
point.
Yeah.
Missiles are flying. That's the current event. That,
Well, they had
maybe we can talk
Poland.
about, because we had
Poland is
What were
a,
y'all talking about?
NATO
when I came in?
member.
We were talking
Video
about Sam
games.
Bankman fraud.
Oh, Sam Bankman fraud. Yeah, bankrupt fraud.
Sex tape.
Sam
Yeah.
bankrupt.
Oh, he
fraud.
did play games while he was conducting fraud. I do know this,
yeah.
right? So
He had a nice puff piece in the New York Times. He's apparently getting good sleep.
Well, I think the biggest thing to watch for is how much trouble he gets into. The less trouble he gets into, just the more.
Yeah, he was
the more
getting muffins
lends
yesterday.
credit to the part that he's, one of them, and
Yeah.
That's
Well,
probably
I mean,
a good take.
Something I've come to since we talked about it last week, guys, is that this isn't a crypto company, right? This is an asset-backed securities company that over leveraged itself and then got caught using customer money to backfill that over leveraged position after they had losses they didn't anticipate. This
Not
is
just
exactly the
customer money,
same
but
thing
actual
as
government
fucking
money.
Enron, as fucking Lehman Brothers, as fucking MF Global, which nobody remembers. And Gary Gensler himself was the guy who was head of CFTC during MF Global and was censured for his behavior on it. Like, this is the same old chicanery. And instead of addressing it head on and having mea culpas, because they know Wall Street's not getting off the hook after another 2008 happens, right? They're pointing to the underlying asset and going, it's crypto. And it'd be the same thing as watching Lehman Brothers collapse and going, it's building codes.
Since we're getting
This
into
is
this,
true. That's absolute truth. But that's the whole purpose of what happened. That's the reason that it was.
They're going to use this as an excuse to kill, if they can, decentralized crypto, which is actually the solution to this kind of corruption.
And to
they're all
bring
connected.
in CBDCs.
Elizabeth Warren's connected to him. Gensler's connected to him. MIT and Stanford, the professors there, all of them knew each other. All of them did business with each other. All of them had their kids as interns with the senators and everything else.
Right. Oh, and FTX was one of the 3 payment processors for crypto donations to Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah. But
For
also,
some-
Zelensky,
really
And then the money
quick
came
about
back
what they're saying
into the Democrat
about
Party.
Zelensky actually investing billions in FTX himself. That went. I mean, it's just so blatant that the government gives money to Zelensky. Zelensky puts money in FTX. FTX gives money to the same people. You can't get any more laundering or mob-like than that.
Oh, you can actually. You can have something called the digital assets consumer. It's like digital something, or digital assets consumer, DCCPA. I know the acronym. I don't know the actual thing the acronym stands for. This is the law he lobbied for, that essentially takes a model that looks a lot like FTX's model and makes it the only legal model.
Yeah.
Can we pause really quick?
While crushing DeFi makes it so that if you want to set one of these up, you have to allow them to take a dip.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to pause real quick, because in chat, a good point that Jacob Wayne brought up was that he doesn't actually know anything about the FTX situation. So can someone do a short, here's what happened and this is what we're talking about? Because if we get really into the weeds without saying, oh, here's the actual thing that happened, it could be confusing.
So FTX is a centralized exchange that offered front-end exchange services to consumers after KYC. You could also get, very much like Crypto.com, a card that you could top up and use to run your daily affairs right out of your fiat side of your crypto trading account. what happened essentially was that their user agreement said, we will not take your funds and rehypothecate them, even if you use our staking scheme, lets you asset farm or lets you yield farm a bit off of what you're storing there. In fact, what they did was through an accounting backhole or accounting backdoor, move that money over to Alameda Capital, which they used to invest in startups that Sam Bankman-Fried was also involved with and engaged in creating. So, and they would leverage these bets. So they were taking this money, loaning it out, and getting, taking advantage of that leverage difference in the meantime, and then using that to invest in risky startups, which failed.
And all of the loans were backed with their FTT, their own currency, right. And with, I can't remember what the other currency was, but it was massively illiquid, where there was a small amount that was out there and the rest was just on.
And they almost got away with it too until one of their accountants misplaced a decimal.
Well, now that brings up a point.
And they had a run.
That I want to get your opinion on now, because everyone stopped talking about this. What started all of this, what brought it all out, was CZ and Binance. Because for Jacob, also Marat, you should get with Lisa after the show. But Binance was going to buy FTX. It was very public. They talked about it. Everyone was looking at it. And then Binance did at the time, and maybe it's still, very shady stuff that looked as if they were trying to crush FTX, that it was all a plan to act like they were going to buy it just to screw them over and destroy them. But do you think maybe CZ was kind of a knight in shining armor, saw the chicanery, and then exposed it?
Well, it was before he was going to purchase it. It was before they were going to purchase it that it was known that there were huge issues.
They were doing due diligence, and their accountants found the issue. Right? They were like, "What's this? Explain."
But CZ posted on Twitter
get back to you.
that we're dumping all of our FTX tokens.
Yeah, that was because the price
down. Yeah. That's what caused everything for them to lose basically their money in their war chest. That's what screwed them over. That's what started the domino effect. So
I think a lot of it started before that, though, because when they came out with that
coincidence. Do you think he was
almost true
nefarious, or do you think he was like, no, I got to save crypto? Because now he's saying, oh, I was trying to save crypto. We got to fix crypto. I'm the good guy here.
No, he knew they were weak. I guarantee he knew they had these weak points. When the stuff came out about the regulatory side of things, and everybody in crypto realized, oh, wait a minute, we've been praising this guy who came out of nowhere because he's with us. And they realized, wait a minute, he's one of them. Everybody started looking.
Well, I mean, and they tried to sell him a ship that they claimed was sound, and there was a hole in the hull, right? Like it was taking on water, and the pumps were having a hard time keeping up, and they were trying to hide it. Well, they got bailed out by a company with more liquidity. They were trying to take finance.
I guarantee to you that
you can't get around what he did. He was publicly destroyed them. And
right,
if you're in it for business, you find out, you're like, oh no, we're not doing this. But he went after them, and he says it was for the good of crypto. I just want to know if you guys believe him. Or
I would say that it was also for the good of their business.
Yeah, it could be both. That was their biggest competitor, and had happened to be doing a lot of things that were shady. And I'm not Binance's biggest fan, but I was impressed with what they did with this. I was like, wow.
Well, even before CZ put out that message about how they're going to dump the FTT assets that they have, before that, it was a tweet. It was on Twitter. He just said like a list of best practices. It's like, if you're going to run an exchange, don't do this. Don't use your own assets as collateral. Don't do this. You know what I mean? So and it was right after he went in, I guess, to review the books and see if they wanted to buy it, as they said.
You guys ever see the movie?
And he came out of it and was like, whoa, hey, so here's a bunch of weird shit. And that's when I first heard it starting to be talked about.
Real quick here. Do you think, because that's somewhat the narrative, I think they went in knowing there were holes. Their easiest avenue to find really holes is to get that due diligence.
He was out, SBF was out actively soliciting investment because he knew they had a gap to fill. He needed liquidity desperately. He went to all the people that could offer it quickly. And they said, okay, we're kind of interested. Let's start due diligence.
I want to say
due diligence, they found it.
One thing that SBF on Federal Election Commission records, donated like upwards of 50 million. One of his other founders, 20 something million to Democrats, solely Democrats. He had claimed that in the presidential election, he was going to commit $1 billion to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
I totally believe that there is a lot more of that Ukrainian money and other money that went
I think
to
honestly,
the big guy, and others off the books, and that's what I think is so. That's why we might see a war. Because
honestly, I think
they
he
are
was an
scared of
establishment
whatever coming out.
financial suicide bomber.
Also, you know, there's
I think he was meant to go out and get a whole bunch of people roped in that they wanted to take down.
There's
he tried to get in on Twitter with it too.
The Trump lose coin. I don't know if y'all know about that one. That's a really weird thing that was developed by them. It's on their exchange. It's held as an asset. It was made in 2016 during the election, or no, 2020, and it was made. It was used for raising funds, but it's still there. It was still there before, you know, for all this time. So that's because there's people pouring over the books now. There's like, you know, regulators and everyone, and that's one of the biggest questions is these assets like that.
Well,
it's a
can we
Bahamian
add
company.
one thing that I
They
think
don't have the right to
we
get the
didn't
books
mention?
yet.
Is after all of this happened, then there was a supposed hack where 400 million was.
It was I think 600 million.
600?
Yeah,
I thought it was 400 million.
So do you guys
it's
think
exactly the same amount though that was given to
bullshit.
Ukraine?
All of it's bullshit. This is a show that's being put on for us. He was a financial suicide bomber. The guy was meant to go out and get investment from everybody they wanted to take down, so that Gary Gensler could have all of the people dead in crypto that were the biggest threat to the possibility of the regulation they wanted, which was
the only
more
thing
Ponzi
is
scheme
though
codified
that
into
Gary
law.
Gensler got a
This is
paper trail.
exactly
Like
what they want to have happen. They even
he's
tried
the
to
guy
buy part
walking
of
out of
Tesla,
the
part of Twitter.
bathroom with toilet paper off of him. I mean, Gensler has. If you look at his appointment book, it's so blatant that he was involved in this.
Oh yeah.
You mean like all the times
guys,
Clinton went to Epstein
I want to get your
Island
thoughts on this. What do you guys think about the fact that he tried to buy part of Twitter with some of that money?
Wait, who went to Epstein Island?
Oh, Clinton.
A lot of people.
Sam Bankman-Fried went to Twitter and tried to put money in it.
Right? Well, there's something that I think is interesting. I want to get you guys' opinion on, because we've all been here for the evolution of crypto, obviously for the bad as well as the good. I want to tell you all about a tweet that Mind Your Biz put out that was amazing. But it seemed like it wasn't just Binance. Binance came out actively against them, but there was a kind of a unite of the Tether Mafia, of Huobi Global came out hard against it. I mean, it was like, hey, you guys are giving us a bad name. We're not going to stand for it. Centralized exchanges, evil, you know, all that. But they all kind of united, even though they're adversaries in a way. What do you guys think about that?
You know, I think what's happening right now, man, is the crypto industry in general is capitulating too fast. We're down markets. Everybody's depressed. A lot of people have been making tongue-in-cheek jokes for a while about how crypto's going to zero, right? Yeah. Like it's an ugly, low confidence environment for most of the entrepreneurs already, and this shit happens. And the immediate assumption that every media outlet reporting on it makes is this crypto company did this. This crypto company, crypto, right?
That's the important part to think about. Yeah, is that disconnect, and whether or not there was a coordinated conspiratorial, whether or not there was coordination leading up to that effect, the effect is still that.
Right.
You know. That's what disappoints me, is that people see this and the whole industry is like basically tarnished by something that's not cryptocurrency. It's not,
odd,
you know,
we're
it's not the same thing.
It's weird.
But when it reciprocates out to the 401ks and the pensions that were in there, that were the funds, the BlackRock
that just started putting their toe in the water,
Ontario, whatever, all those funds that are destroyed. Those people, the little people, will not be paid back. Though that money is gone, will they then see who really was will those people be held accountable? Will those funds and managers and all
I don't think so. At least I want to make
it'll still be blamed on them.
In 2008, things weren't good. In 2008, things were not good. but they were not as bad as they are now when it comes to control of the media. You still had people like, remember Glenn Beck's meltdown? There was still truth out there about what happened, and so even though people weren't held accountable, people knew who was accountable. Now, all those people that you're talking about, all those huge funds and pension funds, they just started dipping their toe into crypto. They were putting like 1% to 3% of their portfolios in crypto. So even if it goes to zero, it's not going to affect them that
the
much.
same with Celsius too.
But when everything else crashes, when the real system goes because of all the real evil that's been done forever,
right?
That is going to be what's blamed. Oh, I'm sorry, your retirement fund is messed up. It was this crypto company that people kept telling us to invest in, because you're like, look at the gains. Why aren't you investing in this crypto? We didn't want to.
Yeah, right. And more than just FTX
because
too,
they weren't buying crypto; they were buying asset-backed derivatives.
As somebody pointed out in chat, you're seeing other companies too that we're seeing who was tied up with FTX, who had stuff going on there,
who was sharing.
And Bloomberg has an article out from yesterday. Somebody mentioned this in chat, so I brought it up. But about BlockFi, so they're preparing to close their doors, right? So you're seeing BlockFi, you're seeing other non-FTX companies being affected by this, and so what you're seeing is across the board from somebody who doesn't like obsessively follow the news about this stuff, like a lot of us do. The appearance, right? The perception is the reality. The perception of
exactly.
Cryptocurrency. Right. I've even heard like pretty commonly. Like it's like people will be like, cryptocurrency, that was such a scam, wasn't it? Like in past tense.
But I heard a lot more of that the last crypto winter, in fairness, right? Like we're actually now seeing something a little bit more pernicious, right? Where the people are like, we need regulated crypto, and the kind of regulated crypto they're talking about when they say that is the kind that presumes this technology is financial.
The people that are saying that don't know the difference between crypto and CBDC.
Can I say this is the point that we've been trying to make for years, that if you keep going with this number go up mentality, and that is the driver of all crypto, and that's why people are interested in it, this is what you get. You get this shit. We have a pile of shit now because everybody was focused solely like, the tech is just there. Right. I'm just going to speculate.
And the ugly part about it is they're going to roll it into the tire fire that is all the rest of the speculation industry. They're going to say that we need to regulate it just like that, and then the part they're going to shut down is all of the independent open source developers.
That is all that Wall Street does. He's like bankers and lawyers, right? That's all that Wall Street is, and yet that's what we've made crypto into. And literally, you have the same.
They're not going to get away with it,
because I'll tell you what, SBF, if he wouldn't have been running a crypto company, would have been what? Take a guess. If crypto didn't exist, let's say that he was born in a different generation, what would his occupation be?
He wouldn't have left his posh internship at one of the financial firms, and he would have been promoted up in middle management and eventually been the new Gary Gensler.
Yes. So
I'm trying to find the
banker or lawyer. That's what he would have been. So
I had one really super big doom and gloom thing to ask you about.
Oh, fun.
So this is where we're at now. We're talking about everything that's happened. But I've been talking about this for a while, and me and Lisa have been talking about this. I don't know if you'll follow Johnny Bravo. He originally asked me about this when we were talking, and not that one, the financial guy. But what if next? I mean, we're talking the next few weeks. Tether gets exposed and goes down. The government's like, we have to do something. What about this Tether? Oh my God!
I think they're going to be like the last 2 weeks or the last week in 2022. I think they're going to do that the week after Christmas. I think the next one's going to be Crypto.com.
I don't think Crypto.com is going to go down.
Really? I know so, because I actually use them.
I think they're so huge, and there's so much FUD being thrown at it. I think they're trying to use it, but I think that they're I think they're pretty well insulated. I don't like them. I think they're dirty. I think they stole.
I met them. They're not bad guys, but
I think they stole $90,000 from me.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. I think they stole money from my son's best friend.
Oh, fuck.
It's very, very odd, similar things where our accounts were hacked, but they had someone had to know the PIN. Even if and then they say you don't have two-factor authentication, screw you. But there's still a withdrawal PIN and a sell PIN, which aren't known to anyone except for the person that owns it and them.
Hey, you didn't get SIM swapped. They would have got everything if that was the case.
So, and everyone had the same story. Everybody had the same story. So, and this is the beginning part, before there were giant. So I just think it was weird. But I still use it.
John, you've been quiet. What do you think about all this stuff, man?
All right, so I don't know shit about what y'all are talking about, but I do love Crypto.com. I've never used it once, but they support a lot of gamers. So if you go to watch a Twitch stream, they sponsor a lot of video game players.
Oh, yeah.
So hey, I'm about them. Thanks for giving back to Amazon.com. So that's nice of them. And yeah, this sounds like a lot of shit that happened in 2008. We're just doing the same thing over and over, and people are going to get screwed. But when the number goes down, put some money into it, and then when the number goes back up, make some money out of it.
Right.
I think that's about all I got about this, because
What
I'm
do you
learning
think
about
about the
this.
fact that they're kind of blaming the underlying asset in an asset-backed securities scheme this time? Like, it'd be like saying, what the problem here is? It's houses. Or if it was the Enron collapse, what the problem here is? It's oil and gas. We need to regulate that.
My favorite part about all of this is watching Tom Brady lose all of his money. Because
Giselle already took it. It's okay.
Yeah, well, because he had a bunch of money in
like hundreds
in
of
FTX,
millions, right?
Oh God, yeah, which I think is funny too, because that's the one thing I was thinking about, because Tom Brady is a huge Republican, and the fact that it's a company that was giving, now I'm learning, a bunch of money to Democrats. I think it's just really fun, and it's fun watching Tom Brady just kind of
squirm. Do you not
and
think
lose.
it's a convenient thing that he and Giselle are perfectly happy and married and whatever, and then conveniently right before this they get divorced, and she gets a shit ton of money?
Oh, I don't know about that. I feel like their divorce they've been working on getting divorced for a while. Have you seen
really?
what Tom Brady went from looking like, I don't know, a 40-year-old football player to looking like he's one of the Jersey Shore boys in a season? He went from looking like a normal football player to now he's got spiked hair and it's all dyed, and he looks like he's 15 years younger with a spray tan.
Like someone beat him with a douchebag stick.
Yeah, it looks like he moved to Florida, and Florida finally caught up with him. Is what happened.
He became
that
Florida man.
I don't know. I just think that's a way to protect their assets, is to magically get divorced, and then they go through this thing, and he's part of the,
No, I think Tom Brady's just a douchebag.
Crypto.com. Crypto.com is building a giant F1 track there, the Crypto.com F1 track. That's only, one of 5 in all of North America. There's only a handful in the world. It's one of the, next to soccer, it's the biggest.
Yeah.
Bigger than that. But
they haven't been in the United States for a long time. Really, that track sat dormant a lot of years.
They only had one. They had one in Vegas, and then they built one in Austin, which for Christmas, that shit's expensive. I got 3
that was
tickets.
Industry protectionism to extreme, man.
I got
they didn't want people to
for
realize the best drivers.
My youngest kids to go because they're really into F1, and their
But
best
they
friend
spend
who
money
lost
to
with
make
Crypto.com. I got him a ticket for Christmas. They went 2 weeks ago to the F1 race in Austin. 70-some thousand people at this F1 race. So it's huge now. But anyway, Crypto.com bought the Staples Center. So Crypto.com, it's like the face of crypto now.
I was literally just there.
Was literally the face of Wall Street crypto, business crypto. Crypto.com is kind of like the face of what regular Joes see as crypto. They see it in games and gamers, and for sponsorships. Right. It's all over every sport. So if that was next and it did go down, that would be huge. That would be so massive. But I think they're if they go down, I think crypto's gonna. It's not gonna die, but it can be, like mortally wounded to where it's gonna take. It's basically gonna be starting over.
Did you guys hear about the FTX stadium deal though? Who's bidding on it now? Bang Brothers. This is the best.
Are you
Bang
kidding
Brothers
me?
is potentially going to take over.
They-
It's going to be the Bang Brothers Center.
They do that every.
BBC.
They do that all
Lisa
the
doesn't
time.
know who you're talking
It's-
about. I love when this happens. It's so awesome.
So putting in a bid is the advertisement. That is the marketing. Not that they're going to buy it, but
Yeah, that's true.
They're probably going to let them buy it, but they've certainly
they've
put in a
been
bid.
wanting to. This is not the first time they've bid to rename. So the FTX Center, I believe, is right. It's the Miami Heat's stadium for basketball.
Yeah,
and
it's in Miami.
It was like 5 or 10
I don't know
years
who the
ago.
Bang Brothers are.
It's adult entertainment industry for the internet.
I was
going to
say it's company. Two brothers that fix up houses and try to save them. All right, man.
It's porn.
It finds its way into everything.
A link in the private chat. Will you bring that up?
I can do that. Yeah, I was just actually.
Don't click on it if it's something you guys were just talking
something
about.
Just popped up on Biz that the New York Times. New York Times has some event November 30th that has SPF as the headline speaker. Zelensky is the number 2, Zuckerberg number 3, and Yellen is 4th.
What?
It's hilarious.
That has to be
right.
so.
While your Biz posted this, here's a threaded affiliate link to a list of my favorite dexes. Are you ready? And it's like, if you really thought it was possible to have an affiliate link to a dex, get down here. That just cracked me up.
The funny thing is, we've actually been seeing from the Rivet side of things a lot of volume going to decentralized projects lately. There's been never more volume going to places like Mu, and I've heard the same thing is true of Uniswap. Like, people are actually going decentralized because of this.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a silver lining thing, right? Because I know it was such a trope for such a long time for people to say, not your keys, not your crypto, not your keys, not your coins. If you're not self-custodying it, then you don't have anything. It belongs to whoever.
Self-custody is the only secure form of custody there is.
And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, the whole point of cryptocurrencies as an invention was as a solution to things like Wall Street and things like banks and things like fiat central currencies and things like that, government currencies, and everything that it has, the number go up thing that Joe always talks about has driven everyone to want to be a bank or want to be a Wall Street bad person or want to be to emulate the same thing that we were just solving. To emulate the same thing that it was supposed to be the solution for. Well, and so it's like a broken record. Every time something dramatically bad happens, it tends to be because of something that this was literally supposed to solve, because we keep going back to wanting to do things the get rich quick way or the easy money way or the manipulative
things to get
screw you, good for me way.
Right?
What's that?
I feel like the reason that we're seeing what we're seeing is because we decided to market decentralization instead of the other D word that's harder to say, that really actually is what decentralization gets you, and that's disintermediation. It's a fancy word for kill the middleman, because the middleman is where the moral hazard for corruption is. Right? Like, that was always the point of crypto.
Yeah,
was to make it so those people couldn't fuck with the system anymore.
At least the things that matter for money should be transparent. That there should be rules that are direct, with the only risk being bad code or a hole in the protocol itself, which are well tested.
And you can't bribe code with political donations, or
that's the beauty of it. And that's the other thing too. Frankly, a lot of the powers that be are threatened by a lot of the fundamentals of the tech, because if you have a properly managed system, you imagine if all contracts, particularly money changing contracts, were running on crypto, there is no room for interpretation. That is, if an event happens, it is literally an outcome that no friends or senators weighing in to a judge can affect the fact that this is code. You don't need any fucking lawyers. We can, for once,
Right.
finally
You don't need any
kill
financial police either.
all the lawyers, which is my goal in life, is to kill all the
Well,
lawyers.
you don't need financial police
and to
either,
jail
right?
all the
AML
accountants.
And
can
the
be done
bean counters.
by a passive application that watches public information. Right? You could actually do it in a way that doesn't require you to conscript companies to be cops, right? And that's what they don't want. Like, they want to be able to stick their fingers in and say, by law, you have to police for us.
Yeah.
Well, they're already doing that. I think we talked about that weeks ago with like hotels.
Crypto backdoors by a different name.
Security forces are being given like legal powers to do certain things, which make it unconstitutional, because they're detaining people and doing all types of searching and seizures, and they're not even police, let alone with warrants or anything else. They're just a private police force.
I just want to share one more
being
thing
wielded that
before we
way.
go on current events, because we were talking about these exchanges and what's going to go next. And Reggie Middleton, over a month ago, he did a I don't know what he calls it,
A walk and talk.
review
That's a big deal,
about.
actually.
So he has this boom bust blog where he looks into different companies. He's been very accurate. He did a full business evaluation on Coinbase. They are leaking money. They're not profitable any month that Bitcoin's not profitable. And he goes through and talks about this. And if you think that the FTX thing, they're doing the same thing though with, I guess, with DAI. He explains this all in this video
No, he's right.
over a month ago. And it's incredible what's happening. And so when you're worried about crypto.com, Coinbase, people were getting their tax returns sent to Coinbase.
Yeah.
If Coinbase goes, I mean, talk about blaming crypto for the upcoming recession, Great Depression, the greatest depression.
Or crypto.com. I could see them
Yeah.
going after them, because that was Coinbase is more of
And that's USDC Circle.
Coinbase is more of like
that's the crypto
infrastructure
mafia.
of crypto. Where
Well, that was-
crypto.com is more the flash, I think.
Yeah,
That was
I've been
Reggie
following
talking
this
about
guy-
it back in October.
I was
So,
following this guy,
yeah.
Chris Black, who's one of the MakerDAO delegates, who has some sway in sort of the pro crypto side, the pro decentralization, and sort of cypherpunk side of the whole movement. This guy's been talking about this for a minute, like saying that basically what they're trying to do is preserve jobs for their DAO over pursuing the values of the ecosystem. This is about self-preservation, and it's become a thing that like a lot of people who are in the know with this don't recommend DAI anymore as a decentralized option. Like, I'm, for instance, exploring something called RAI, which is a token from it's RAI Finance, or actually that's not the name of the application. It's
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that
Reflexer
before.
Finance. Where the difference between this stable coin and others is it doesn't care that the peg floats. It just tries to maintain a stable peg. And the fact that the peg moves is not a big deal to them. It's a more interesting project in the sense that it doesn't need the US dollar in order to operate something that tries to get some of the volatility out of an asset.
So it's more of a smoothing or dampening than it is
it's a floating
hard,
it's a dampener.
A hard peg. Yeah,
exactly.
That's
but
it.
It also
That's
doesn't
a pretty
have
good
any of the
idea.
ties
I
to
think
all the bullshit, right? It's not asset backed.
The concept is decent.
Phrasing.
Yeah. So that's our current events segment that we do at the beginning of each episode. That was interesting, and it's going to be interesting again next week, I'm sure, because like we just talked about, the dominoes are still falling, and we don't really know how far that goes until we do. So right, video games. Let's make a video game. The topic is basically it's like, what would your ideal video game be like? What would World Blockchain Roundtable's ideal video game be like? And the first question we have is from Juicy J. And Juicy J lays out a pretty cool concept. I'll just read it here. He says, a game like Spyro the Dragon, which that gets to explore in the metaverse. As you explore the game, you travel through real-life locations. One can meet another denizen as a dragon. As you travel, you achieve sweat coin, which I think I if you remember, that was the one where I showed a whole bunch of phones like in a gym. That's where you move around and you get points for it. So just walking around in this metaverse would earn you like a sweat coin type thing. So it pays to walk, which is an interesting concept because you're paying people to explore your game world, which otherwise maybe they don't. Well, for example, I can meet Jacob Wayne in Texas and network, explore the layers in the metaverse with InReal. We'll get to experience the amazing sunsets one posts on the amazing views layer on a 360 perspective. And if you don't know what InReal is, I didn't, so I looked it up real quick. It is pretty cool looking if it works. It's basically something straight out of a William Gibson novel called Virtual Light, where you have just a pair of glasses, and that's your VR headset. And so within that, you get to have let's say you wanted to have a giant display, a big movie screen sized. Well, you can just project that size of a movie screen and play games on it.
Direct retinal projection?
Oh, I don't know, man. I looked it up 5 minutes ago. here's the image I was looking for.
Keeps popping up as ads everywhere.
Probably, yeah. In every realistic depiction of a dystopian metaverse that I've seen, you're just wading through ads. And if you go to Decentraland today, you see a lot of ads for like, "Hey, I own this piece of property. Do you want to advertise on it? Here's a billboard." Mm-hmm. So you're already getting billboards everywhere, kind of thing. So that's
Costa on that thing.
Oh, the cost? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't even know if it's out yet.
Real quick on those, I think the issue would be the fact that it's still going to be projected at this. Now, depending on the retinal side, I don't know enough about, but like say just the optics, I'd always thought if you could bounce light around enough inside of a box that you could make it appear as if it is at infinity, which would be the ideal case for viewing. Anyway.
Well, if you shot sufficiently underpowered laser light at your retina from up close like that, you could create the illusion extending into your peripheral vision. Right?
There's a really good demonstration. Well, I say a demonstration. There's a science fiction interpretation of that concept in the TV show called Night Flyers, which I think was written by George R.R. Martin, and it has one season on like Netflix or something. But they have a retinal laser projection where you get in the thing and it projects lasers in your eyeballs and it just takes you into this world because it fills all your perception. So I don't think that's how the glasses work
too, though.
Yeah. Smellogram, like in Casper. So that's cool.
Things that should never exist.
So there's a few concepts in there. Yeah.
I want to get my sense of smell hacked by anybody.
Is it? Which one am I thinking of that was
it's Stephen King, not George R. R. Martin.
Well, same person.
Stephen King. Oh God, Stephen King.
I feel like a Stephen King universe versus a George R. R. Martin universe are wildly different universes to play in.
Very different.
I misremembered. Sorry for not. Hold on now. Night Flyers is a science fiction horror novella by American writer George R. R. Martin.
Okay,
according to Wikipedia, bro.
Wow.
The one I'm reading is Night Flyer, rival reporters, and a tale of vampire who travels by airplane, claiming victims at small isolated airports.
That sounds like some Stephen King bullshit.
That's a movie. It's there's a vampire on the plane.
No, Night Flyers with an S is a TV show.
It's like Snakes on a Plane, like without Samuel Jackson and it's vampires.
I'm glad we clarified all that.
Cope with upper atmospheric radiation because, like, they're already exposed to sunlight as an issue. How would you fly in a plane, like a regular plane, at 40,000 feet, and not just immediately poof as if you were watching the sunrise for the first time?
Instruments. I think instrument flight only, no windows.
They got bladed.
Yeah,
they closed the window, man.
You have your familiar.
That's how we know that Kennedy, the
Daybreaker,
was not a vampire. I think.
Can we talk about this game that Juicy J proposed?
Yes, let's go back to that.
So
this is our video game. It's vampires.
I'm glad that we clarified the difference between writing styles of George R. R. Martin and Stephen King. But Juicy J really wants to know about his concept. I think it's a good concept. My opinion is that I've never thought about introducing something like Sweatcoin virtually in a video game, but that's interesting. I know
proof of walk.
Yeah, kind of. Proof of travel. I know that Greg and I both have played a whole butt ton of No Man's Sky, and it would be cool to incentivize exploration like that, right? Because
if I'd have walked that, man, I'd be in the best shape of my life.
I guess that's my question: is when you build a game, like what is the goal of the game, or what is your outcome? Are you trying to get people to play the game to explore things? Are you trying to get people to buy things on your game? Are you trying to get people to spend time on your game? Like, what's the goal of? Because then you would want, you would be motivated to do different things, or to get people to behave different ways, depending on what your motivation or your outcome would be. Right? That's
an important point. Like, what is the point of the game? Because all the different games have different different concepts.
That's a whole show in itself. I am so angry at stupid people. Because
you just stop right
why there. You people, all of you, have allowed microtransactions to enter the game sphere. I didn't understand it. I worked for Xbox, and I didn't understand it. Why are you people allowing this? You buy a game, you own a game, but now you buy a shell. It's like, oh, you buy this, so now you have to buy stuff.
I think it started with Ultima Online, if I remember right. I was a big fan of.
I think it was the Xbox Live first version was where it started, where basically the idea was console games were going to fund ongoing efforts by microtransactions.
Well, I remember being an Ultima fan. It was way before Xbox existed.
And then in order to progress, and that is a game's a piece of crap.
It wasn't mainstream though,
and you should not happen. Well, there's been like EA got trashed because they pushed it too far, and that was great. It helped fix things, but microtransactions, they just got to go away. I don't want to say you don't need to have them.
I would tell you,
you should be able to grind and get the same thing.
The regular gaming industry, although it overtook movies, it essentially is following the same path. Everything is scripted. I'm surprised for some of the big studio games how scripted they are. That's why I don't play any of them. It seems on the blockchain side, they're not focused on trying to improve fun games and make them more fun or add extra depth to those games. They're more focused on focused on making them fun. If you look at all those blockchain games, they're just
there's a lot of really fun games.
Like microtransactions for mods.
Starfield's a massive game that's coming out.
Yeah,
and even when you look at movies or anything, gaming is a whole different monster now. You're talking about 10 years to create a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at like Skyrim came out, what was it, 15 years ago or something?
Yeah.
And we're just looking at having a Skyrim 2, basically, the next Elder Scrolls game. And there's other projects that were started, like Elder Scrolls Online, but like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls or any kind of huge game, you're talking 5 to 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, you're talking about though when they release a first one, they have to maintain it and then find a way to assign resources to build a second one.
Well, no, they have full studios dedicated to it.
I know they're big, but they're not 10 years. They're not spending 10 years building a game.
The problem kind of are. Right.
Well,
the problem with Elder Scrolls
a lot of it's art assets, writing, lore. Like whenever
on good games, on huge games, on kind of these industry,
I know it's bigger.
Also, one thing I want to bring up, the centralization of the gaming industry, which has happened. Microsoft owns like 90% of everything now. They went on and bought every game studio, like 3-5 years ago, and every year at E3, it's like announced that they're buying another game studio. Now, there's been some good things in that, and there's been some bad things in that. Some of the good things is like some smaller companies have been, financed a lot more. They have money now to build something bigger. And that has been something that Microsoft has done. I think that's a good thing. They've kind of like, hey, you did something good. That's not broken. Here's more money. But we're not going to mess with it that much. but it still is centralizing the whole gaming system.
Right.
So here's my
but then
pitch
again,
for
you
the
have this
Spyro game.
re-decentralizing force in the mod communities. So like that's a re-decentralizing force. The more you enable mod builders, right, the more the more diversity and
life
decentralization,
which is something that you're looking at,
open
like
sourcing
with
it.
Fallout and Skyrim, some of those, big 7-10 year games. They have huge modding communities. In fact, the new Fallout New Vegas relaunch is by a modding company. It's not a huge game studio; it's an actual mod company.
Yep. One of my favorite old games is now hosted open source. You can get an open source server instance running of Star Wars Galaxies, the first version before they changed it. Right, like I remember when they replaced the original games vision, like with this guy who, or with the new CEO said like nobody wants to be Lars the moisture farmer, and in fact that was what people wanted to be in that game. That was everybody's favorite part, was that I get to be like this sort of player created economy dynamo in this game. I can become the #1 supplier of everybody's favorite rifle or whatever, right? And it was neat because it was so freewheeling and open. And I think that's something that games can lose with the centralization. But so #1 for our game, it has to be open, and you have to be able to mod the shit out of it.
I agree.
And maybe you pay in microtransactions
for blockchain project, the modding should be core to it. It should be how you get better mods and how you get better characters and better things happening, because anybody can bring them in and make money. That's literally how would be the best.
I made a mod for Xbox and PC for Fallout 4 called Musicians Mod, where I went out, like I wanted a better radio basically than what the game offered. So me and this guy, JP12X, he pops in here sometimes. We made a mod where I went out to a bunch of bands, local bands that we had been either touring with or knew personally or something, and was like, hey, can I use your music? And we got a bunch of them, and we ended up making like a whole new little radio station in the game where you could pick your own playlists and stuff like that. It was great. It was a good experience. It was well received. It added something tangible to the game. It breathed some more life into the Pip-Boy radio stations and stuff. John had a pitch for this Spyro game though that he had come up with. I want to hear what it is.
So I'm trying to like stay true to Juicy J's vision. So he basically wants to be able to travel to different layers as a dragon, which is, very on brand. I think honestly, Lisa's kid can make this game. And it's just a bunch of different Minecraft layers where you get paid to walk around your Minecraft layer, which also then like kind of works with your vision where you can mod it. Because we ran into this issue, which is like, there's no bad guy, right? There's no boss, there's no objective. So what do? Well, each layer would then end up creating its own.
Oh, that's easy. They already
have bad guy layers, man.
There's
that's going to be a super villain.
There's troglodyte.
That's actually not a bad idea, Joe, because you could take all of the trolls that have been like people can crowdsource identifying the trolls, and then you could have a troll hunter game for Den that's in the metaverse.
So
that's actually cool.
Yeah. So yeah, what my idea would be is that you're walking around your layer, and then a community will build like little missions itself inside of it. Like for the amazing views layer he mentioned, like there's an amazing view, but you can enter into this one view where like the whole ground starts to crumble, and then you gotta like climb your way out from this pit that you fell into to get back to the amazing view.
Exactly. And you could have layers incentivize quests, right?
Yeah.
Where the players could
like
do
put
things
bounties on things. Is that
we've
what
hidden
you mean?
something in one of our amazing views, and here's the puzzle that you have to solve. And if you run this, then we'll reward you with however many lot.
There is a new and not really activated yet Minecraft layer that could host it on a server, and every layer could choose their own biome if they wanted to. Right?
You could have player classes like in tabletop gaming that layers could create their own sort of homebrew type homebrew type additions to the game that the community would have to vote on to allow, right? Because you have to allow that layer in. So if you wanted to create a vampire dragon layer where the dragons are also vampires, how badass would that be? And they feed on the other dragons. You have to get that voted in. So you'd have to set. You wouldn't have to make it. You don't make it not overpowered. You have to propose a balanced player class. But if you do, then you get your lair voted in, and boom,
Yeah.
vampire
turns into
dragons.
a
are in the
bat-like
game.
dragon.
So that's my pitch for
like it.
Juicy J's Spyro, for Juicy J's Dragon Lair Minecraft thing that he has.
Artwork wise, would you stick with the Spyro style, or would you do something different?
Well, Spyro style, if you go back to like the original games, looks almost the same as Minecraft. So it's about
Right.
the way those blocks and the way the graphics were back then. I just think it'd be fun because with that stuff it can be community built.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about like
That-
making
I mean,
decisions
I
and
think
style.
you could
It's so
probably
simple.
convince
frame of rendering reference.
the Minecraft lair owners to build that too, because then any lair could come in and claim, stake a claim to some land.
I said this once on, I don't know if it was either the coffee show or the Den.Social meeting that we have later today. But I volunteered to host a Minecraft server if somebody else will administer it, will help me admin it. So if anybody's experienced, especially if you know how to mod a server for like custom stuff, it'd be cool to have some custom den mods. But just having like that very well could be like, who's to say what a metaverse is, except that it is somehow integrated with the real life.
Well, here's my interesting
experience.
Addition to that, then, what if each layer has its own type style of game, right? Like, what if one layer decides that it wants to, when your character enters their layer, enter a platformer or an infinite runner or an arcade shooter or a space game,
like a Ready Player One type thing,
3D world exploration to 2D Zelda 2 type adventure, and out of that you might zip into isometric view dungeon from classic Diablo days.
Yeah, you could have a game with
cool
virtual arcades set up inside of your metaverse place. You could have the shitcoin arcade that I've talked about before, where
and your character and your advancement would stay the same across all of it.
Gives you a place to spend all your bags from 3 years ago on that kind of stuff. All right, thanks. We got a volunteer.
Dave, you asked a question. What is a metaverse? I sent you something on Twitter. You could.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
Cool.
It's not this. You know what? I could send it to us on Telegram.
Okay. Yeah, send it to us, and I'll.
Or can you play it with sound on Twitter?
I don't. Every time I've tried to do that, I have failed. So if somebody else can for sure do that,
I'll send it to the.
Sometimes my machine crashes when I try to share a tab, and you have to share a tab in order to share the audio.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna send it to the layer or the.
Try it. I think you could
probably do the Telegram. It's in the Telegram. You can download it there and then upload it here, and just play it. It's amazing. I've watched it like 20 times, man.
I'll do that now, and then while I'm doing that, we can read the next question too.
Yeah.
So we can keep it moving along. Cool. So I'll pull this down.
I had it on I played on the Crypto Meme Review, which I should have mentioned this in the first part of the show. I got hit with a copyright, not a strike, a copyright claim, which that just means that that the video is not monetized. But YouTube did a weird thing, and they did take it down in most countries. And the reason
I watched that, and they played a commercial on it. So they're not monetizing it to you, but they're playing commercials on it.
But I can watch
they're monetizing.
I can watch it if I watch it with the VPN in Eastern Europe. But anyway,
are you talking about this video that you just told me to play is going to demonetize something?
No. There's
okay.
I don't even know what meme it was, but they said that they have to tell you what song it was.
Right.
And they said that it's not in the metaverse yet because the publisher hasn't released it to the public.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
they said that the metadata wasn't
there
public.
yet.
Oh, that's weird.
Something
that's
like
really
that.
weird.
It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, I don't understand.
It's weird wording.
Licensing is weird anyway. Like, we need better systems. It's almost like we need better systems.
Well, the other
Greg's here.
police
I'll
officers
read
who
it
don't
to
want to be
Greg.
recorded now will play copyrighted songs in the background if there stops, right? So that if you're recording them, you get deplatformed if you upload it.
Here we go. I'm going to read it to you, Greg. It says, video, the Crypto Meme Review number 9, copyrighted content, metadata is hidden, as the content in question has not been made publicly available by its provider. Claimed by SME.
SME. Who's SME?
I don't know.
That's what I said.
Subject matter expert.
Oh shit, that is.
Ah.
You're right.
I don't know.
So it's an arbitrary subject matter expert. You got a third-party fact checker checking whether or not you're compliant with something, and rather than having to report to you
What did you guys do to
what
get
their
that?
claims are, they have to report to you that a subject matter expert made a claim.
It's like when the press releases something that's according to people familiar with the matter.
Right.
Like
Well,
that's
it's like when
source.
you get the mandatory reporting, like if you try to apply for a Platinum Amex when you're 18, for example, and they send you the thing and it says, we have to provide you legally a reason. You'll have a written response in 30 days explaining why. And then they give you some bullshit that doesn't tell you exactly what's wrong with your credit. They just say it could be some of these reasons, but we don't know. You need to go look yourself.
Yeah.
Here's a guide to a service provider that we're in cahoots with that can help you build your credit score. Like that kind of shit.
Less helpful than it could be. Hey,
It's
look,
okay,
I've got Sean's video here. Let me play that real quick since we were just talking about it, and then I'm gonna read Y'all Weird.
Metaverse? Yeah.
Y'all Weird has a different take on a video on a video game. So, what is a metaverse? Let's play this.
Where is this road?
See Rasputin
Around.
somebody? and these people are actually getting married.
That's great.
Wow.
It's just random people walking
It's the
around
most
being
random thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen. You got
That's great.
Rasputin and bell bottoms, some kid, some chick dancing, guy playing. There was a bunch of those weird bikes with like 5-6 people on them.
The pub cycle.
It's basically like
thing,
Gen
yeah.
Con, but everywhere all the time.
It was very odd. I think it's really funny.
That was a reenactment, a real life reenactment of what
Just
it's
a
like.
Saturday
being
in
the metaverse.
Austin.
Yeah. So on to the next question from Y'all Weird. I think that the perfect WBRT video game would be a simple game like chess. Both participating denizens stake their matter, lore, or lot in equal amounts, and the winner receives a pot with a small percentage going to layer owners. This could be the humble beginnings to a much bigger game in the future as features are slowly added. Features like spectators of the match being able to bet on the winners or add to the pot if the match is exciting enough.
Y'all Weird.
That's pretty good.
Y'all Weird just hit my favorite part about the idea of games in a collaborative environment.
Spectators
Familiar with
being
the
involved.
idea of nomic games. They're games literally where you change the rules as part of the game. And like so you'd like play a round of Monopoly, for instance, and then you'd take a vote on a new rule, and the new rule would say, okay, we're going to take out the risk game that's over there, set it up over here, and the winner of the Monopoly game is actually the winner of the risk game. But in the risk game, you use the Monopoly money to buy armies instead of roll dice. So the winners at Monopoly, like, you can add to games over time in ways that are kind of ridiculous.
I've never done that before. I was playing Blockus last night because I couldn't find Scrabble with my wife. But now you got me thinking, like, what do we have in the cabinet that I could combine to make
But
a
a simple game like that would be very easy to update very quickly based on those kinds of votes.
The question is it imagine if the players didn't have a say, but the viewers were the ones that were deciding rule changes. Something like that could be crazy.
Like a decentralized GM kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where instead of a dungeon master, you have a crowd system that is designed to throw rocks at or sort of throw curveballs at the players.
Have you seen those really ridiculous versions of that where you have like Twitch plays a game where you let the chat actually control the controller to go left, right, up, whatever, like move around and stuff? It gets chaotic.
Have you guys heard of the podcast Dungeons and Daddies?
Yeah.
No.
You should check this out. It's basically like people who are playing a tabletop game, but they're doing it with their podcast audience.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Like there's YouTube ones,
but they do some fun stuff, and they're also kind of they're smart people who want the show to be entertaining, so they make it so that instead of cutting off player actions that are game breaking, they're like, oh, what the hell? Let's see what happens. So they're really over the top games.
Social
Sounds
chess
like
is
some
pretty good
young
though.
girls
That's
that
a good
need
idea.
therapy.
Well, you could have a whole on this question. You could have a whole group of games. Those are the kind of the simple ones. You know, you could have poker, you could have checkers, you could have chess. That pack of games you can get for like $3.99. But you could make all that with being able to stake your lot to
bet on
play,
a single chess
and to
piece.
bet on it.
That survive.
Oh,
Think of that.
interesting. How long is
That
this
would
piece
be
going to
nuts.
survive?
That would be amazing.
What if you could
That's not
do
bad.
superpowers where you're going to cast on your enemy, your opponent, a right for the players to vote on their move instead of giving them their move,
Yes.
or watchers to vote on their move instead of
Yeah.
giving
Or
them.
it can
as-
literally
You're
just
going
be
to
a game
control
of
this
chess.
game board for one turn if I use this
Oh,
special card that I won in this other layer.
Or it could be a game that
Wisdom.
everybody already knows the rules to, so you don't have to bring in all of these learning curves. Because that's the other thing too, right? Is if you take something and you make like a super highly modified version of it, and you say, "All right, let's all play this," like then you got to teach everybody how to play the special magic, Uber Monopoly Dragon version of chess, which that could be a
But yeah,
game
but
mode.
Imagine though, if it started from scratch, you have chess rules. Now, so many turns in, the spectators decide to add another rule. So you're learning as you go, and you have to freaking think
Like
on your
playing
feet.
quarters.
Well, you could have seasons, right? You could do season 1 is we're starting here, and then next season we're going to do a new game starting from scratch. But if people want to play postseason on this game, still they can.
So, as somebody who plays a lot of chess, what I love about chess is that it starts perfectly equal.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get, like, it's as close to like 50-50 as you can really get. And also, like, the more you have like computers play against each other, the more it's unclear whether or not black or white actually has an advantage. It's gone back and forth over time.
Right.
I think right now white has an advantage in it, but it's like it used to be black like
Yes.
10 years ago had an advantage.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about his like proposition was that like you're gonna make two people perfectly equal, but then just add betting to it was really fun. So I don't want to get rid. I don't think y'all like we should get rid of like that part, like watching just
totally.
two people's
Yeah.
brains fight
Well, you
each
can
other.
recreate it in balance, though,
Yeah.
right? Like, you want to
Well,
make
we
the
could-
game weird, you can still make it weird and still keep it 50-50, right? You want to add superpowers, you can also add a superpower that says, okay, flip the board. Now you're black, I'm white.
Tell you what, John, if you want to, I know how to play chess. Like I know the rules of chess, but I'm terrible at it. Like
Yeah.
I don't play a good game of chess. So if you want to win some money, I will challenge you to a public game of chess in the gaming layer. We'll just live stream some game of chess, and we'll make a gentleman's bet of I promise to give you my money when you win, and you can just show me why my playing strategy sucks so that I can get better.
I would love
Sure.
to
And
play
that could be
too.
the beginnings
I love
of
chess.
Den chess or something
Sound-
like that.
I'll teach some chess to whoever shows up.
And I'll bet that Queen's Bishop survives into the 40th turn.
Has
Okay.
anyone ever played Star Trek 3D chess?
I'm going to auction off the naming rights for the bishop.
I haven't. No.
Oh wait, I like this now. We're gonna name. You can. Oh wait, hold on. So instead of like, fuck all that other shit. Let's. You can like give matter and Lord stuff to name
Yes,
different
yes.
pieces. This is not a
Mayhem,
rook anymore.
chaos.
This
Ooh.
is Mike's penis. It's just like,
Yes.
like the most ridiculous. Oh, look at that!
Well, you get to
It's
take
like-
home a memorial NFT when you win the naming rights. Like, it's
Yeah,
yours
but
forever.
then on the
You can
other
take
hand,
it to
like,
other games.
I'm the player, so I hope that like you could make it so that like I don't know the names of the pieces, right? So therefore, I'm not biased. But I would love to know the name of it. Be like, that's a dumb fucking name. I'm gonna sack.
That's the other
I'm
side
gonna
of it.
sack my bishop because this
Just to get
idiot
rid of
over
it.
That's
here-
the other side of it. Your account loses a third of your pieces in that game. You have to buy them back or start from scratch, where you were.
Or similarly, like instead of the names, you could actually have values attached to the pieces that change based on maybe the crowd or whatever. So strategically, you could be like, okay, the move I should make is this. However, if I take this piece out over here before X number of turns, I get, like $5, whatever.
Right.
Okay.
How do we integrate music? That's what I want to know. How do we integrate music into this? Because I feel like there's a place for it, and there's a place for crowd created music to be a part of it, where like whoever designs the board designs the sound environment, and they can pull in somebody, and that person could also get credit for that particular game. And you could get some really neat scores out of that type of situation.
I prefer generated music, especially dynamic, but that's hard. But it's
what was the
It's
video
hard,
game
but it's
that
been
Jack
done.
Black made?
You rewarded
possible.
it. You'd be surprised what people create.
What was the video game Jack Black made? It was all metal.
I don't know.
Which one?
I think it was Brutal Legends. But the soundtrack was really
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it was
Was it-
Brutal Legends.
yeah.
Was that like League of Legends, but with metal?
No, it was
Or
like
something?
like fantasy. This is Jack Black stuff, like Wonder Boy. It was fun.
Oh, gotcha.
That sounds actually a lot of fun.
It was a really fun game.
So like the excesses of glam mixed with kind of a
I tend to like the stuff that you
trailer
mix.
punk vibe.
like a Warcraft kind of with 80s hair metal. It was
So
That sounds
I
like
think,
go ahead.
I think what we figured out is that whatever game it is, it's got to be like crazy modded. Is
Yeah.
really what it is.
Oh, yeah.
We took Spyro, and it's like, but what if we changed everything whenever we wanted? and then we took.
Okay,
chess,
so
and it's like,
Spyro, but it's nothing
so
like Spyro.
yeah, so it's chess, but like nothing's. It all looks and sounds differently, and then you can bet on stuff. So it all just resembles something simple. Which is
I will
honestly
say
usually the best
something.
games.
I will say something about that. If it was a progressive, so that the longer the game lasted, the more alternate rules would be applied. People who aren't good at chess would likely have more fun.
Yeah.
That the
Well, I mean,
longer
and-
the game lasts, the better the advantage is for somebody who's not good at standard chess, which
Right.
is super interesting and
It is.
might be valuable because you
Well, if
would
you
open
think
it up to a
about-
lot more people.
Right. If you think about metaverses as splinters off of different possibilities, right? Then who says the game for the people who didn't like the rule adopted doesn't continue with those people who didn't like it? They can just have a hard fork, and you can play World Blockchain Roundtable Chess Classic and World Blockchain Roundtable Chess in its current version if you didn't follow the hard fork. And I mean, if you didn't want that superpower that got voted in, okay, go play the other game. Start a community based off of it.
Yeah,
But you freeze the rules where you like them, and it's a new game. Then it's got two different metaverse shards in it.
I would even say that potentially that whatever the game rules developed based upon the consensus of these people and whatever randomness that might be cooked into how you do it. Imagine if that game became marketable, that it was, and the copyright would be owned by those that developed that version of the game with NFT tokens. That's crazy, pretty cool thing, because you might end up with a game that's very different, but it's like, oh, this is, I don't know how you would name them, but that could be cool.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
that's the kind
that's
of
a
thing that
great
NFT
idea.
tokens
you can even
should
have
be used
sponsors
for.
at that point. Like you have people coming in wanting to be like, "Hey, my artwork needs to be in your game," and it's like you find out later it's
Banksy.
some famous NFT artist like
Okay.
who's
Banksy. Yeah, exactly.
who's the
Like
guy that
Banksy.
does Elon Musk naked on the Twitter bird? I forget his name off the top of my head.
I don't know, man.
I reviewed this game last week, and the reason I did is because it was it's like a card, NFT card battle game, which whatever. It's cool, it's nice, but they have different groups. They have demons, and then they have gods and stuff. But then they have these group called Terrans, and they're just real people,
Like StarCraft?
like
Terrans?
historic figures like Genghis Khan and Jack the
Oh.
Ripper, but they have Trump, and they have Musk, and you can battle and have as a hero Martin Luther King Jr.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And their power, like Donald Trump has the power of a wall, and like donate is
Okay,
one.
so they take cues
who has the
from
power of the deep state?
Yeah, okay.
It's hilarious, man. I thought that was crazy.
You have to send me that reference to that so I can check it out, Sean. That sounds interesting.
Beeple was the guy I was looking for.
Oh,
He could do a chessboard.
Eternal Brawl. You can look it up. But that's another thing it's part of like a gaming ecosystem where there's several games that are part of it, which I think video games are starting to do, like ZeniMax and stuff. They're and I hate microtransactions, but at least the token that they have, which is not like a cryptocurrency or anything, you can use for like different games.
Like, I hate microtransactions that are one-sided, that are meant to like leech money out of the player base instead of make the player base experience better, right?
Yeah.
If you had microtransactions to pay modders that were completely independent and open source, then microtransactions become a force for good.
Yep. And that's the thing. Even if a cut goes to
let's say a profit share,
sets it up, right? Yeah. That makes total sense, and no, I don't think anybody would complain about that. Right?
That's why I don't understand why some game, because originally game developers were very resistant to modders, and it didn't make sense. You're not having to do any work.
People are just having fun, more fun with your game. They're playing it in different ways.
And that's why you look at like you remember the Doom stuff when they had all the those were far more fun. Than,
I used to make like custom WAD files, awesome. Man. Yeah, for sure.
I'm still kind of pissed I didn't get an Xbox instead of a PlayStation because I would still be playing Elder Scrolls 5 and Fallout if they were allowed to put new artwork.
That's why that mod that I talked about, that's why it only went on Xbox and PC, because PlayStation was like, we don't want that kind of thing.
Because they're stuck in the past.
Fallout 4 again, like a month or so ago.
Platform.
Yeah,
I was one of the I was in the top like 5 people playing Fallout 4 when it came out. My son read about it in a video game magazine. I didn't have any idea. I just played all the time.
Yeah.
But I hadn't played for like a year. So when I restarted it, my mods weren't working. And my kids were like, why are all the women naked in your town?
Yeah, it's like Bethesda day one launch.
The mods didn't kick in, and like all the women were cat women. They had so.
What was annoying to me is
the mods
you never got a decent kill the kids in Elder Scrolls mod that ever lasted more than 5 minutes. Those kids would taunt you. Like they made the kids taunt you, but they also made them immune to damage.
Yeah,
I started playing Fallout 2 again recently, and I found out that before Bethesda bought Fallout, you could kill the kids in the game. I just thought that was an interesting note. But look, let's get one more question in from the list of questions we've got. How about that? So Jacob Wayne, who just had to peace out, he'll come back and catch the end of this later. But let's read the question. So, would there be a way to make a blockchain game that naturally evolves and changes based on how players use the space?
Yes.
For example, I've always wanted a hunting game where you had to survive in the woods and forage, hunt, fish, and create shelters in a giant terrain with other players. Perhaps you could cut down a few trees to build a cabin, and then the terrain begins to erode or grow new plants where the limbs rot.
DayZ.
Maybe animals are drawn to that area because of the change in habitat. I'll have to type out my entire idea somewhere in the random or coffee or den layer.
DayZ,
so yeah, there's
the
concepts in there. There's different games that have like all those different concepts, but smushing that into one where like I actually haven't played DayZ, so I don't know about that.
It's a hard game to get into because the experienced players camp the spawn points and kill you and harvest you like you're a deer. But
okay.
I want to add something too, because as per block, you could do that without a blockchain game, right?
Yeah.
But with blockchain, something you can do that would be at least harder. It's probably still doable, but maybe not as well. That you imagine, a lot of games, like I say, a lot of games are scripted. So when you enter a certain dwelling, the mood changes and it feels like a movie, right? And that's cool. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that it's because it's scripted. So it's I go into this space that soundtrack plays. If with blockchain, without exposing it, and especially if you have generated music, you could have, like you were watching a movie, something was up because of the score, but you wouldn't have a freaking clue what. And it wasn't just because you moved somewhere; it's because somebody else is doing something that
right. I think the thing about blockchains that you could exploit for games to a really extremely awesome degree would be a game like you're talking about, where you can go out and hunt and fish and build shelters that you start in the Stone Ages. and you just let time play forward.
Yeah.
And there are legends of this world that are players where they do something amazing or they create something amazing or it changes the game dramatically, and it's permanently frozen in time. Like one of the most disappointing parts about the early No Man's Sky was the fact that you realized, oh, they're going to reset the servers from time to time, and that planet that you painstakingly studied to name those creatures, that was a waste of your time, man, because they're not permanent. They have to reset it for time. But if you put it on blockchain, forget it. Like you can literally make permanent a world of any type.
As it should be.
And that would mean legends could be created organically rather than by some paid author to write your canon for you.
Yeah.
What's Hyperion Frequencies pitch? He's reads. He's always in chat and stuff. So I feel like we should at least try to.
Let's jump to the next question.
We can do that. Yeah.
5 minutes.
See if we can sneak that in there.
Yeah, we got 5 left. So discussion, if we are looking at a game that fits our current situation for Den and Dragon Chain, I would suggest a shitcoin / arcade.
Oh,
We were talking about yesterday. We had a whole I had a rant about a shitcoin arcade that we could build or something. So we could create a space for flash games, if that's still a thing, as well as 8-bit indie games. I feel like it might be too early to step into what our meta gamer would look like when so much of the future is still unsure. That's very true. At least in this way, we may be able to collect a few coins that suddenly make a huge turn. I'm just wondering if we should introduce a new coin in exchange for shit coins. Should this coin be give benefits to original Den coins? So I think this is sort of piggybacking on what we were talking about yesterday, which was just the idea of if you've been playing with cryptocurrency and blockchain, and if you were around when DeFi blew up, when Uniswap became a thing that people knew about, whenever it became copy paste easy to make a coin and it was just exploding. A lot of people have legitimately bags of shit coins laying around.
Oh yeah.
So it could be interesting to create even a virtual arcade where that's your coin op. Is you bring your bag of useless coins that you have now from 3 years ago that is, that somebody created with the intent to scam you, and a lot of people bought and use those in your arcade. And so he's asking if that would be interesting. Would it be more interesting if you gave people the incentive hey, bring in any coin that was created more than a half a year ago that you don't want anymore, and you'll get new arcade bucks.
Yeah, it won't work.
Or something like that.
That won't work because we once upon a time made a shit coin that was intentionally quite shitty. Actually, it was designed to enable one-way trades where one side of the taking was a token everybody had an unlimited supply of. We created this thing called Notcoin. So you would have to block Notcoin because Notcoin has it does the balance checks by returning yes to every query. Do you have enough? Yes.
Oh,
I see
what you're saying.
Maximum.
So the consensus is always yes, you have enough.
Right. It just short circuits all of the number checks so that you have an unlimited amount of this. We used it to set up 0x orders where one side of it was a Notcoin thing. So we could set up a store where with just the cost of gas you could get a token without having to have a token of something else to trade with it. Right. So we could give it away for free because everybody has literally unlimited supply.
A way to do a faucet, kind of.
Right. Exactly. It was a giveaway on chain. But that would kind of break this. Yeah. Right. But I think what
let's assume that we have to
what if we need to buy and burn?
Let's assume that we have to opt in the different, ones that are allowed, I guess.
So what if every time we took in a shit coin, we burned it, calculated its value, and took from the treasury to buy a token like Dragon or something else that we wanted to take, and we add that to the treasury, but we also burn it in 50%. So whatever project it's supporting also helps eliminate supply every time somebody adds to it. Kind of like
okay, but the problem I have with that is that we're talking about things that literally have no value. There is
right. No, you use them as a gate to decide how much value to apply to the buy burn mechanism. That's what you would create your second token off of, like the arcade token. Would be a buy burn token where you start with the broad supply.
Or you could do none of that and it's just for fun.
I don't know.
You're talking about something similar to Coin Janitor, where they would take a a dead project, take all the coins, burn it, and then
I just think it'd be fun to use that liquidity to buy shitty NFTs and give them away as prizes, like it's a Chuck E. Cheese.
Now, over time, the ironic thing is that over time, if you were to do that, even if it was meaningless financially, just for fun, over time, you might actually end up with a situation where people want them. People want to go out and get these useless old, coins because, I can use them in the arcade or something like that.
I think in the end, it may, and whether it's you played one, you spent one, you played one. I think that the internal token should be a ticket, and you can take it at the end to go and buy the stupid junk that you're going to take home and throw away.
Just like a real arcade from childhood.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
What is it?
And then the shitty things you get are the awful paint NFTs that I make on Copy with them.
Yes.
It's just
the MS Paint
it's just an
NFTs.
Unlimited supply of them too.
1,500.
So it's one of 64 billion that you can own. So it's just you just get a link to a Google page.
It's made with the spray paint tool.
Right click and save the image.
Yeah, I have a one of 64,000 run of literally just a screen grab of Family Guy with some faces pasted over we need to have a place to dump our crap NFTs.
Yeah. So you trade in. So if you feel like that thing that I invested in 2 years ago that wound up being a scam or nothing, now I have a place to spend it. It's like a place to use your pennies.
Some utility for something that never had utility.
I think that's perfect.
Like an arcade that takes seashells and shiny rocks.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think we solved
I think
video
we got
games.
it. Yep. All right. So
Lisa,
that was pretty good. Oh, Lisa. Hi.
Yeah, I was saying, sorry, I'm back. No, I was saying like those smashing machines at the zoo where you put your pennies and you smash them.
Yeah.
People don't know what to do with them, so turn them into something else.
I've got a €0
souvenir
bill. I've got a souvenir €0 bill.
That should be another thing in the arcade where you can put in your coin and then you fake rotate something.
Yes,
and then
an NFT that is just a souvenir from the arcade.
Yeah, but it has to be unique to that coin.
Yes.
So it's
like a pink elephant pencil top eraser.
Yeah. Well, it would just be you would just see a slight impression of whatever that coin was on the.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've got some things that I literally spent money on just because some shit was happening. Just with cryptocurrency, with that whole thing, something in particular was exploding, and I knew that in 10 years I might want to be like, you know what, I was there for that, so that I could be like, no, really, I have a transaction right here. It's on chain. I was there for that. That kind of thing, which is a similar type of thing,
like the Bitcoin pizza kind of moment.
Yeah, I was around for that.
We had somebody in the token store purposely buy a single dragon.
Just for the symbolism of like having the transaction. I was there.
Imagine like I was there. Buying Bitcoin years and years ago. I just want to, what the heck? I'll buy a Bitcoin.
Yeah, like I've been paying attention to Bitcoin since 2009, since I was just reading mailing lists and stuff. I never got involved with it until 2012 or 13, but I've been paying attention for a long time. And if I ever wanted to prove that, I can always just pull up an old wallet and be like, no, I was there. I'm not talking shit. I was there. Here's the transaction, and I can sign that. I can sign a message with that private key saying, no, I was there. Kind of thing.
Like Craig Wright, you're just like,
yeah. But I can actually sign the message, and I can actually prove it.
Oh my gosh!
Wait,
I
would have to bring us into a room and make sure that we were sitting there next to his laptop so that we could witness this instead of just fucking signing the message.
Yeah. Seriously.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Or maybe you have to cryptographically sign a RTC channel to open up the live stream, so that you can have a cryptographically signed live stream by them.
That would be an interesting, if you ever wanted to have any kind of OG conference call, anonymous, to be able to sign your way into a meeting based on your
well, if you use the same address that
history
you signed the original transaction with, then you could also sign a transaction that would prove you hold that key, right?
Yep.
Then you could cryptographically verify the whole thing and roll it up on Dragon Chain.
Yep. Interesting.
Speaking, kind of like Eternalize This, which is taking off pretty hardcore right now.
Yeah, Eternal's great. So let's talk our way out here. I'll go ahead and shout out Eternal since you brought it up. I think it's a great, if it's so much more than a proof of concept, but it's a very, very good proof of concept for the types of things that you could use Bitcoin for example, without it necessarily being used for money. There's so much more you can use a blockchain for, even a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin that's only designed to be money. You can use that blockchain for other things. You can use the same security that secures Bitcoin to secure any data, any arbitrary data that you want to prove has not changed since the time of inception, since you put that transaction into a Bitcoin block. And then you can calculate exactly, reasonably calculate sort of how much it would cost to break that security to the point where you would know, okay, would somebody spend $3 billion to fake this piece of data, right? It's a great proof of concept that you should go check out. It's eternal.report. You can use it on Twitter by just adding eternalize this. So follow, and you can follow, if you follow Eternalize, Eternal Report, I forget what the @ tag is, but if you follow Eternal on Twitter, you can go to that account and you can see what other people are saving, because whenever you do that, it gives a link saying we've eternalized this. It's all on chain, and you can just click around and see what other people find interesting.
It's been getting loud lately. I've seen a lot of people using it who weren't before.
Check it out. Use it. It doesn't cost you anything to use, and it provides literally billions of dollars of security for free.
There is a plan for it to actually, because right now it's free and Dragon Chain just pays for it. But
it's also a great rebuttal to anybody trying to argue that crypto has no real world use cases that aren't crime.
Right. In fact, all of our former papers that were publicly presented to the SEC have eternal transactions involved, and the next stuff that's coming up, every piece of evidence, everything that's going to be in there is going to be somehow on chain.
I'm sure they're going to probably try to find a way to call ats to eternalize this securities if we know Gary Gensler's SEC.
So there is something. So there's one side which is NFTs that would be former on chain. That's one thing, but even more so is for the archival. That and I'll just say this out loud, but looking for people interested in trying to help build it, because we've been trying to figure out resourcing and everything else. But essentially, what we want to do, we have a really amazing, super interesting plan. I won't give you details here. Very unique way to monetize the archival of real history, important stuff, and important based upon what the world thinks, not what we think, but what the world thinks is important. Is it a Trump tweet? Is it a Kanye tweet? Is it something that the SEC puts on their website? That stuff should be archived, and it should have Bitcoin and Ethereum and higher level security behind it than what Internet Archive has. Because Internet Archive has lost pages, has removed pages, has some censorship that.
Yeah, there's an email you can send to where if you make the right argument with the right kind of power behind it, you can make shit disappear from it.
Yeah, if you're a fucking senator or the nephew of, and with this, the beauty is it would be monetized, and it's super interesting. And we're looking for people if anybody's interested, because we need some devs and we need a couple of other things in place. But reach out to us anyway. And I'll go ahead and give an outro real quick too.
Yeah, let's go to you, and then Greg next, and then Lisa, and then John, and then Sean. That's how it is on my screen. So
I wanted to say I don't have any major updates this week. We're working on a lot of stuff with Dragon Chain. The one thing that I always forget to say, and oddly enough, none of the trolls come and at least give us any kudos for this. We've had no exposure to FTX. For one hand, we were never interested in getting involved with them. On the other, for obvious reasons, they were never interested in getting involved with us. Why do you think that is? It's because we're not full of shit. We're not playing the stupid games that all the rest of those projects do. Fuck all them, and fuck FTX. So
anyway. Right, and Gary Gensler clearly, loves you guys so much.
Yes.
It's obvious.
Yeah. So anyway, have a good week.
Thanks for that, Joe. Greg, where can people follow your things and stuff? And
Oh God,
what kind of plugs you got?
I'm all over the place with that. So I don't really usually like to plug where I am because you can find me wherever good times are had. Usually somewhere between Den.Social and Twitter. I've been having a lot of fun on Twitter lately. So at Design Heretic there, if you want to play along, as I test the limits of the Elon Musk promised free speech. But right now we're actually about to launch our Polygon endpoint. We're kind of gold master. With a couple caveats, a couple tests that we're pretty sure are going to finish like they did last time, and it's going to be a success, are running. Once those are done, we'll be going to production environment with it, and we probably shortly after Thanksgiving will have a Polygon endpoint up. So if you want to interact with Polygon and you're a developer, Rivet.cloud will now be able to give you an out from the evil empire that is Infura Alchemy. I need to come up with a good portmanteau for them, like Infra Alchemy or something like that. But outside of that, I was also at LA Blockchain Summit, and on my channel or just on YouTube in general, you can go LA Blockchain Summit Infrastructure Panel, and you can listen to me talk to people who normally wouldn't give me the time of day, which is pretty cool. They had the guy who's the former office comptroller of currency to my right, and I had some guy who was into advanced cryptography to my left, and the head of AWS blockchain was asking the questions, and they actually let me speak, which was, probably terrifying to them a little bit, but it was fun. So go check that out. And also somebody should propose a let's make a video game layer and continue this process and actually make this video game that we've been talking about all day, because it seems to me we've got some interesting seed ideas.
We can do that. We can do it in the Minecraft layer. We can do it in the gaming layer.
Probably wants this to continue, and I say you should probably do that if that's your mindset.
Thank you, Greg. I made a note. I'll go look up your panel discussion there. That sounds interesting. Cool. Lisa, same question to you. Where can people find you and follow your work, and what do you have to plug for us if you want to give a shout out to something?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot going on. Go look in the Mighty Lair on Den.Social. I'm at Lisa Mighty Davis. Give me a follow and I'll follow you back. I've got shows every weekday. And then Sean and I have a show on Tuesday. We do the first half or the second half. We kind of go back and forth on his channel and my channel. So it's kind of fun. We're cross promoting each other and building our community together. Because we've got some really amazing people that in the live chat that share a lot of information with each other. The Very DAO, I am a DAO member. I volunteer in that project, and our amicus and I think 11 or 12 others were accepted by the judges in the SEC versus Ripple case. Super excited. I believe we're the only token holders in the secondary market to have an amicus entered in the case. So very unusual historical precedent set, and proud to be a part of representing cryptocurrency holders, token holders, and showing what the effects that the SEC's overreach has on token holders in the secondary market. And hopefully the judges will see the effects of that. So we've done the Very DAO channel, YouTube channel we have a part 1 and part 2 that we've released, breaking down the amicus. We're recording part 3 today, and we have Reggie's response that should be releasing any day now as well. So you guys can go check those out as well. Lots of good stuff, and hopefully we'll hear more about that in the
Thanks
future.
for doing that, Lisa. By the way, for the whole community type of thing. It's pretty awesome.
It's been really empowering. We're in this time where we are. Sean and I have both felt the censorship on our channels, been swatted, whether it's financially, attacking our businesses, which is how we take care of our families. We have had a little more freedom on Twitter, but I'm not monetized on Twitter. That's not how I take care of my family. And so to be able to have this avenue and having my freedom of speech and being heard in the court and saying, like, look at where my government and people that are supposed to be working for me and protecting me, literally it's the SEC's mission to protect people like me, where they've actually brought harm to me and my family, and be able to have that voice in the court and petition the court and show what has happened to my family is really empowering. And so I'm honored to do the volunteer work that I do, and grateful that I live in a country that I do that can.
We'll be watching with some interest, Lisa. So keep us updated.
Thank you for that.
Thanks,
nice
guys.
work. Send good vibes to Reggie for us.
I will.
And I'll keep an eye out for part 3 of that breakdown when it comes out. So I'm glad that got submitted and entered into it. That's awesome. John, what's up in New York, man? What can you tell us?
It's beautiful and sunny. Do you want the Intrepid update?
Sure. What are they doing down there?
I don't. Let's see. Can you see it?
Yeah, they're still there.
Huh.
Well, there's like a. All right, I think there's like the little buggy thing next to it now, whatever it is. That crane.
Oh, the crane thing on a barge.
I don't know what that is or what it's supposed to be doing. It just showed up overnight.
It's a crane barge, right?
Guys,
that's for like hoisting big stuff onto other ships.
Yeah. So, I'm curious what it's going to hoist on, like what it's hoisting and stuff, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens next.
They're going to roll up a prefab thing, whatever that is. Don't put it on live stream because then you'll be potentially targeted by military intelligence.
If they know anything about me, they know I'm not a threat. I'm not very intelligent when it comes to that. So yeah, I don't know. Follow me on Den. I remembered to like plug that now. T
Who are you on Den? T
Swift or die, baby. That's me. If you want to follow me on the internet, I think this is John Branch is my handles for everything. So figure it out.
No H, right?
No H, JON. And I got some cool stuff coming out hopefully next week. So like, I don't know, just follow me and you'll see it. It'll be really cool. Probably coming out. It'll be coming out on Den too. So that'll be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if you have any other video game ideas, feel free to send them to me. I love hearing about video games.
Oh yeah.
That's it for me.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much. And thanks for that view out there. I always like making you point the camera out the window because I think you have such a cool view from the apartment.
That was a cool place, man.
Sean, let's go to you next. What do you want to shout out for us at the end of this?
And I was very confused. I was trying to spell it in my head.
Oh, got you.
He's like branch, no H. What?
I thought figure it
out.
Too.
Bronc.
Yeah.
The Q is silent.
It's a French spelling.
So where can people follow you, Sean? And
Sean everywhere.
What do you want to shout out?
Check it out. You can watch the last crypto meme review. It's me and Lisa have the show on Tuesdays, which is it's fun and it's
we fight a lot.
Truth Tuesdays, but that's our communities. I'm sure is the reason why the show got taken down. Because the crypto meme review is supposed to be fun and goofy, and man, with everything going on in crypto, it was all hitting. And my chat was like, "What do you think about this? And what about that?" And I said a lot of stuff in that episode that was not fun and meme-like. And I know that's why it got hit. Obviously, now that I know it's like a third party, because I was pretty honest about stuff. Affirmative action. I was like, why are you making me talk about this? Stop asking these questions. Look at the funny meme.
You gotta like direct people to the Rumble channel for the follow-up on those.
Yeah,
I gotta go watch it now.
But it was, you gotta watch it with a I can't even see it. Normally if I go to my YouTube channel, I can see stuff that's like unlisted or I can't even see it. I have to go like into the
they shadow banned it from you.
Yeah, or I have to use a VPN.
Hey, anybody who has a YouTube uploader, go get Sean's stuff before it's all gone so he can buy it from you.
Yeah, well, I'm just worried that now they're watching me even closer. So go check it out. Check me out everywhere. Love you guys. It's good hanging out with all of you guys every Thursday. I hate to get up at a decent time, but I do just to hang out with you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you joining us every week or most weeks. I've already given my shout out to Eternal, so I'll just say that next week we have a little bit of a deviation from the typical schedule. We're going to do this show on Tuesday instead of Thursday. It's going to be Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Central. So that's Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Central. That'll be on right on the heels of Super Happy Dragon Lucky. So get your updates and then roll into World Blockchain Roundtable on Tuesday next week, not Thursday.
The Thanksgiving special.
Make that.
Thanksgiving special.
Yeah. And, it's going to be more. So today was a very broad video game of any type conversation. Next week, there's a specific theme of one called the Sandbox. And this is
cool.
a metaverse, Minecraft-ish sort of build your own video game project. I haven't personally played around with it much, but I've been following along a little bit since when I first saw it. My immediate thoughts was oh, this is how I could easily make a video game that's
land pre-sales on that though were obnoxiously closed, right?
So
I was excited about Sandbox when they came out because I was like, yay, it's like Decentraland, only I can buy property still. But no, they pre-sold all of the.
I'll try to get my kids to come on that. They have a video game channel and podcast. They're really more big on Twitch.
If they have insight, sure. Yeah,
their podcast is doing pretty good on Spotify and all that stuff. But I asked if they want to be on this one, but it was everyone just got up and they're like, no, look at how I look. So
they're like, ew, so early.
But I'll ask them to come in on that. And actually, I've tried to get them, into more like blockchain games and looking at that kind of stuff. But they're more big pop culture kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think if I had them look at the Sandbox, do a little research, that might get them up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hit the research a little bit too, because that's a very specific topic that I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not an SME on Sandbox. But we'll talk about that next week on Tuesday, not Thursday. Be sure to share this episode. That's how we determine how much lot goes out to all of us and all the people that added questions that were able to get hit during the show. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all those things. And I had something else in the back of my mind that I was going to say. Am I forgetting something?
Yeah, you should go on WikiLeaks because it's not illegal. Browse it.
Oh, yeah, not yet. It isn't. Yeah, I think that's it. So like, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure all the views get viewed, and we'll see you next week. Thanks to everybody in chat that's been following along too. Bye, y'all.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.